Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Customer Wishes. I used to work at an internationally known pizza establishment right out of high school. At some point they did a complete overhaul and added fun new features like pizza tracking and being able to rate, review and comment on your online order. Each shift, the manager on duty was tasked with going through the reviews and following up with any of the negative comments that came in during their shift. One night I was cleaning the line when I hear my general manager burst into laughter. Being the curious scamp I am, I went to see what he was laughing at. He points to the screen, rolling away from the desk to give me room to read the comment section on an online order from earlier in the day, before either of us had arrived. The opening manager, who was the general manager's little brother, was interesting, to say the least. I don't think he really liked his job, so he really didn't care if customers complained. As such, he had a tendency to follow orders to an extreme. This is where the malicious compliance comes in. If a customer asks for light onion, you were lucky to find 3 pieces of onion on the entire pizza. If you ask for extra, I really hope you like whatever topping you ask for extra of, because you're gonna get it. The customer from earlier in the day had ordered a barbecue chicken pizza and asked for extra chicken. It has been almost 10 years and I still remember the feedback he left in the customer comment section verbatim. I know I ordered extra chicken, but I wasn't expecting the whole bird on my pizza. The next story is called New Rules. This happened a few years ago. I used to work in community-based mental health, which required me to go to people's homes. I was almost never in the office, maybe 1 to 2 hours a week. The rest of the time I was at home or in the field. My car and couch were my office. Then I got a new manager. The first thing they tell me is that I can't wear my flip-flops anymore. Okay, don't like it, but okay. Then they say I have to be in the office 2 days a week. Nope, not gonna happen. Not when my job is in the field. Oh, and when I have to be in office, I have to be business casual, including a button-up shirt. No jeans. My work attire at this point included jeans, t-shirt and flip-flops. Now I'm angry. So I go out to a thrift shop and buy 2 of the ugliest oversized button-up shirts you can imagine. One looked like it was made from a circus tent. I wore that shirt to the office every single time I had to go in. I was let go 2 months later when 2020 hit, cause mental health isn't needed right now. Their words, not mine. The plus side is that I was able to help most of my former clients find new providers. And that office is basically dead. The third story is called Stay in Your Place. I worked the front desk at an optical store for 2 years. I had no experience and knew nothing about eye health when I started. Over time, I learned to do contact lens training, how to work the machine for glaucoma testing, how to adjust glasses and a little bit about sales. There was a fire and we had to relocate, which brought on a lot of stress for the boss lady. We'll call her ma'am. We ended up losing our tech who did the contact lens training and visual fields and our lead optician. Being the type of person who doesn't like to see others struggle, I always offered to help whenever I could, especially if the patient was nice. When we reopened, ma'am's husband came to work at the office as manager, which at the time I thought was nice because I'm sure she needed the extra support. We'll call him Sir. He knew nothing about optical, so he was also training while managing. The problem started on opening day. He wanted to play meditation music and forest sounds. Everyone else wanted general pop and regular music. Since I had access to the speaker, I would adjust it for them. He loved the new space. I missed the old space, but never spoke badly about the new one. If the office was busy and a pair of glasses needed to be adjusted, I'd offer or be asked to help. And in front of the patients, he'd yell, "Do you know what you are doing?" One time I turned to him and said, "I've been doing it longer than you." I'm sure he didn't like that. We had a meeting where he had no bad comments about my work, but told me I make him want to leave. He would report every word and minor mistake I made to ma'am. and she would send me random texts about them outside of work hours. I never got in trouble for anything, but it was annoying. On one particular day, I was doing mostly contact lenses training, and a patient called about a contact lens being stuck in her eye. These were considered emergencies, so I told her to come in and see the doctor. Ma'am. When the patient came in, she looked really uncomfortable and asked how long until she is seen. I offered to take a look until she could see the doctor. When I took her to the back, I tried taking out the lens and couldn't find anything. I told her this, and she looked discouraged. I said to her, I don't see or feel anything, so you'd better off waiting for the doctor, and that ain't me. She laughed it off. I told her I'd been doing training all day and was hoping to help her, and apologized. She said it was okay and sat in the front. Apparently, she went into the room and ma'am told her there were no contacts in her eyes. The patient said that the nurse told her there is a lens in her eye and she wanted ma'am to double check. Ma'am was really upset about this because she had to spend extra time explaining to the patient that I was nothing more than a receptionist. When she came out, she made sure to berate me in front of the patient and my coworkers. I just nodded and apologized. Even after work, she pulled me aside to ask what I said to the patient, and I told her every word. She still felt the need to tell me that I make her job harder by misinforming patients. She said I should stay at a receptionist level and not help anyone because it causes trouble. I was shocked by how she spoke down to me. All I could muster up was, okay, I'm really sorry about that. After that day, I no longer did contact lens training, so now appointments are 4 to 5 weeks out instead of 1. I no longer assisted in visual field tests. I put them all on her schedule. Now we don't have any availability for regular appointments until a month and a half later. I stopped offering to help opticians, so if one person was scheduled, all patients will have to wait for that one person for all adjustments, orders and dispenses. Naturally, people complained. If anyone had a question about anything unrelated to the front desk, I couldn't help them. Even when she would ask, I just told her I didn't feel comfortable doing anything outside of reception anymore. I eventually quit, and now work somewhere with much higher pay and benefits. They have lost a total of 5 out of 11 employees in the span of 1 year, and I heard 2 more are quitting before the end of the year. The last story is called 30% Lost for It. My parents both passed away in their house, requiring hazmat cleanup. The company showed up the morning after I called, which was great, and did the cleanup that day, which was also great. When I made the appointment, the technician suggested that homeowners insurance may cover the work. I filed a claim and provided the info to the technician at the time of service. When he left, he asked for the $500 deductible, which I offered to pay by card, but he requested I mail a check. The contract I signed was for a flat rate amount of under $10,000. I assumed the guy knows how to write insurance estimates and claims, and that he was going to get the max amount from the insurance company, which was fine by me. He'd come out and clean up during a very stressful time, and I'm all about people being paid well for service. Work was performed on a Friday. The following Tuesday, he called to ask where the check was, which I thought was odd. I had mailed it on Monday, told him as much, and saw later in the week it was cashed. Fast forward 2 weeks, and his secretary called me to ask if I'd heard from the insurance company. I told her they had requested pictures, which I had sent, and access to the property, which I had given them, but that was it. She then told me that because insurance was taking so long, she had no choice but to send me a 2-week delinquent payment notice. I basically told her, fine, do what you have to do. I'll contact the insurance company. I contacted the insurance adjuster, and he was slow to respond. A few days later, I got an email from the secretary, which she CC'd the insurance guy, asking about her payment. In that chain, the adjuster finally responded and attached the claim and indicated payment had been issued. So, at this point, I had received the delinquent notice and read the contract. The contract was for a flat rate for X amount of dollars. A flat rate means no matter the work, this was the bill. As I had suspected, the line item on the insurance claim was about $3,000 over the flat rate fee. I wrote a check for the flat rate amount and mailed it with the delinquent notice and a request for a statement indicating the account was paid in full. As well, in the email chain with the adjuster, I stated that I had received a delinquent notice from the service provider and had mailed a check. I also requested the insurance adjuster correct the line item to the flat rate amount and reimburse me, rather than issuing payment to the service provider. I really had no goal or intention of achieving anything other than, you want my delinquent payment? Fine, here it is. Figure out how to navigate this now. The insurance guy is a twit and he never had a comment about the amount of payment or the delinquent notice. The service provider? They had some thoughts. I got a call from the service provider and he told me that, well, the insurance company overpaid them. How about that? He said he got my check, but they had been paid already from the insurance company and they were going to mail my check back to me. This was really where I thought it was going to end. The service provider had requested and received payment from two entities for conflicting amounts, the lower of which was a signed contract. A bit of a pickle to be in, but a pickle that they had created. Being in this pickle, the provider told me that he was going to mail me a check for the overpayment portion from the insurance company. I hadn't been trying to get extra money, but I told him, great, send it on over. My insurance correspondence continued because I waited 2 months for payment from them. I mentioned the reimbursement from the service provider, but as expected, I got no response from the insurance company. So I deposited the check into the estate account, and it will just end up being part of my parents' estate. The day the guy came out to clean up, I had just expected him to get the maximum payout from the insurance company, which was fine by me. But because they had hassled me for delinquent payment due to a lag in the insurance process, they ended up making almost 30% less. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories in today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.